I want to compare some of the stealth moves by private firms with the public spectacle that we've seen from companies like Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy. They made insane headlines, holding 600,000 Bitcoin, holding $70,000 average price, something like that. It's valued over $60 billion and it's yielding over $21 billion in unrealized gains. It's insane. And the gains don't just sit on paper, they actually count towards their earnings. And this is just thanks to the new accounting rules. It's changing the way that Wall Street is going to be doing things, I think, moving forward. It also just gives you a reason to even bother holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet, which if everybody does that, 1%, that will move the price pretty drastically, really, really fast. That helped them post a $14 billion operating income and $10 billion in net income. And that was just in Q2 of 2025. And they fund this with capital raises. $6.8 billion in Q2, $3.7 billion more in July. And this creates a loop. Raise, buy, earn, repeat, do it again. But what about the private companies? These guys are quietly building Bitcoin reserves too without the press releases for the most part. According to late data, private firms hold around 426,000 Bitcoin, or around 2% of the total supply. This is a pretty sizable stash, actually, when you consider that they're not public, but they still lack a little bit of transparency. There's no quarterly filings, there's no headlines, like we don't actually know what's going on most of the time behind the scenes, a little bit more in the air. One example is a German pharmaceutical company known as Evertz Pharma. They started a Bitcoin reserve in 2020. These guys, as of mid-2025, hold an additional 100 Bitcoin acquired for roughly $10 million purely off their balance sheet with no fanfare. Another private company, very successful, you've heard of them, Tether. They're the company behind USDT stablecoin, who, by the way, is I think one of the most, or if not the most profitable company in the world right now. They own around 92,000 Bitcoin or something like that, around 0.44% of total supply. So it's happening like right now. And the advantage is the private players can continue to stack, they can reuse cash, they can avoid pressure. And yes, they could eventually go raise capital discreetly, they could go public one day. Maybe they even use some of their small Bitcoin sales to fund operations. But yeah, some of the bigger players, I think like Strategy, could really start to employ like an OTC. They're the counter, they're the casino move. They've got all the Bitcoin. If anyone needs to come to get Bitcoin, they can come to Strategy because they've got so much. Or some of these bigger players. Probably makes sense for those guys to probably have to be public because we don't want any weird business going on. But here's the bottom line. Public companies are using Bitcoin to turbocharge their earnings and raise capital through all this buzz. Some of the public companies and the biggest headlines and these massive interviews and these media runs, they get me a little bit nervous as we get to the end of this year. So let me know what you guys think.